Dear God, your presence graces the air, and soon everyone will see.
Let's begin by breaking down the plot. St. Maud is a young nurse stricken by a recent trauma that has forced her to leave the hospital that she has been at for a few years and deceive her way into a job as a hospice nurse for a woman named Amanda. Amanda's a retired dancer who's been plagued with cancer. Maud's trauma has led her down an obsessive path of devotion that will soon lead to her death or rebirth. This film was directed by Rose Glass and does an incredible job of delivering a compelling tale of loss and one's convictions to oneself in spite of what others may want. So we follow Rose as she takes care of Amanda and is watching her throughout all the activities that she is keen to and not so keen to throughout the film. She believes that a lot of what she is doing is not the best things that she should be doing in her life, especially at the end. She believes that she should be following the Lord and convicting herself to that purpose and not the frivolous things that she is doing for pleasure. She tries to manipulate certain situations and the best of her ability, and she feels like she's doing the right thing, even though for us as the viewers it can come across as a bit insane and intense. At the end of the film, we basically are left with more questions than answers, I would say, but I really enjoyed what we got here, and I like the compelling nature of watching somebody fall into insanity or enlightenment, depending how you perceive the events of the film. I think Clark does an incredible job playing Maud and depicting her as this woman who is so convicted and so hell-bent on doing what she believes is right and basically given to her by God himself that she is willing to do whatever is necessary in order to fulfill those destinies or visions that she is getting. So in the next part, we're going to kind of dive into Maud herself, and then in the final part, we will get into my overall thoughts of the film. Maud is an interesting character, and by far I feel, out of the movies that I've seen so far, this could change in the future, she is the most compelling and the most interesting that I've come across, and this film is probably my favorite out of the films that I have reviewed so far on the channel, which kind of surprised me. I went in with no expectations, as I do with a lot of these A24 movies, but man, it really left me with a lingering thought that I could not get out of my head. The final scene of this movie, which, you know, if you've seen the film, you would know, is heartbreaking, and it leaves you with a question of what was reality in this film, what was actually going on, and the true heartbreak that Maud has lived through and that she's dealing with. We get a sense that Maud is hearing from God directly, and she is solely basing all of her actions on this conviction and devotion to the words that she's hearing spoken to her. It's an interesting thing to watch her as, you know, we get an interaction with somebody that knows what she's done from the hospital, and the way that she interacts with this person is so interesting. You can tell that she is very defensive, and you're never sure, is she going to hurt this person because they know, or is she just going to kind of accept that? And it's an interaction that is so uncomfortable and so awkward that you're just like, what is going on here? And it's so insightful into Maud's character throughout the movie and as a whole that I really love. There's just a great apartment scene, and I really like that because it does shine a light on Maud herself and what she is dealing with. And there's so many things throughout the film that are visually interesting, and you really don't know, like, are these things actually happening? Are these in Maud's mind? and she does things that are so incredibly insane, but yet if you are filtering them through what she is trying to process and the convictions that she has, then they make sense to her, but they don't make sense to us, and we're watching them being like, damn, like I can't believe that she's doing this, especially to a person that she's supposed to be taking care of. I do not necessarily relate to her, but I can see things from that side of being so passionate and so convicted to this cause that she's willing to do whatever she needs to. It's a fascinating case study on somebody whose convictions can sometimes lead them down a path that one should not take. So let's get into the final part where I'm going to kind of discuss my overall thoughts on the film itself. Okay, so now time for my overall thoughts. You know, the main idea that I had going into this was, what if you talked to God and he seemingly talked back? That was the interesting premise and the lingering question that I had at the end of this film. I was like, that in her mind, in Maud's mind, is what's happening. She's reaching out to a higher power, and she believes that this higher power is reaching out to her, and she is so devoted and obsessed to this omnipotent being that she's willing to do what is necessary to serve him. And that is what is interesting about this film, just the nature of a person who's willing to self-harm and do all of these things in the service of a higher being, and even manipulate those around her because of the trauma that she's lived and because of the maybe delusional state that she's in. That's where we get to explore this film as a whole and the weighted tone that it has. I really enjoyed all of that. The performances are all solid. Rose Glass behind the camera is exceptional. I really am looking forward to what she does in the future. I like the cinematography in this movie. So all around, I really enjoyed this film a lot. It's one of my favorites that I've covered so far, even though I've only covered 3 films so far in this series. I really did enjoy this film. I feel like I've picked good films so far. So before we get any further, I have covered The Witch, I covered The Lighthouse. I'll link those at the end of the video so you can check those out if you want to continue the A24 journey that I've got here. But I am going to now announce the next couple films. So I know initially I think I said I was going to do Men, and typically the way this works is I pick a film, you guys pick a film, but I'm going to throw a wrench in this, if you will, because I want to do an experiment and I want to do these films together. Just like I did Robert Eggers' films together, I broke it up with this one because, you know, I was like, okay, he did The Northman, this isn't really horror, but this next director has done 3 movies, with his most recent one being Beau is Afraid, so we got Ari Aster. I have heard nothing but weird and very divisive things about Beau is Afraid. I have not seen it yet because I think it's something I'm just gonna watch at home because it's 3 hours, and if I'm gonna be bored or not entertained, I want to be able to take breaks and take notes for that movie, especially since I'm going to be making a video on it. So I'm going to be doing Ari Aster's work, so I'm going to do Midsommar, I'm going to do Hereditary, and then I'm going to end it off with Beau is Afraid, so I can kind of get the perspective as the director as a whole, and so that's what we're gonna do. So look forward to those videos. I know those are pretty heavy hitters with Midsommar and Hereditary. Those are some people's favorites, so I'm curious to see kind of how I come out on the other side, but know that Midsommar is going to be next. So hopefully in the next couple weeks I can have that video out to you, and check out all the other videos on my channel. Like this video, share this video with whoever you want if they're really into A24. I think they'll enjoy this series, and then leave me a comment down below. What did you think about Saint Maud? What is your favorite A24 movie, and what is your favorite Ari Aster film? If you haven't seen Beau is Afraid, that's fine, but out of Midsommar and Hereditary, what is your favorite film overall? That's all I've got. Thanks for stopping by and watching the video today. I really appreciate you guys taking the time, especially if you made it this far. So consider subscribing to the channel. It does help out, and we can continue the journey on the channel and on this A24 horror journey that I have set myself on. So, like I said, that's all I've got. Thanks for stopping by, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.